Welcome back to your Grace, Grit, and Everything in Between podcast with me, Ellie. Today, we're diving into my 40s and I'm asking myself a big question. Have I actually learnt anything on my path to freedom? If my 20s were about freedom, it went wrong. My 30s were bittersweet lessons. Then my 40s have been about testing all of the wisdom I've picked up along the way. They've been a time of facing myself honestly, choosing what really matters, and letting go of what doesn't. So let's begin. My 40th birthday. So that was in 2016. And I had planned the previous year, 2015, that I would like to um, I would like to celebrate my 40th in New York. Just myself and my younger children. I looked into all of the arrangements and it was doable. It was a really good deal, and I mentioned it to obviously my ex-husband who was here at the time. And bear in mind, I was still extremely weak, allowing whatever was going on to go on, and I felt so pathetic. Everything was, everything just was a chore. And he said that I wouldn't be able to do it, wouldn't be able to take them to New York. I wasn't well enough to, um, that he needed to be there. So that happened. That happened. We went to New York and I woke up on my 40th crying my eyes out. I phoned my younger sister in the bathroom in the hotel room, crying, saying that I wish he wasn't here and uh, all there. Um, it was just horrible. And then I kind of realized that he'd tarnished so many birthdays. And why was I still allowing him to do this, that, and the other? But I felt trapped, and like I said, I was very weak. I didn't really kind of gauge everything that was going on mentally, like the abuse, the emotional, the mental, the gaslighting. I didn't know. I didn't know. I thought we were co-parenting. So, yeah. That. In 2017, I was looking on Facebook. As I say, I'm still in that mindset. Still feel like there is no way out. And I come across a post that my younger sister, the one that I've spoken to in the bathroom whilst I was in New York, she was advertising this bag of skincare. It was mostly skincare, and I don't know what was in it, but I put it on my credit card and I joined the brand. Didn't know anything about anything really. I had joined and been an Ann Summers rep in the past. Um, did Clean Easy catalogue many, many years ago. Even tried Avon catalogue, distribution. And yeah, I didn't actually, it was a whole new concept and it intrigued me. So, yeah, I started doing that alongside the supervising in the restaurant. And before I knew it, I had people join me, I had customers, I went live. I didn't know anything about makeup because I hadn't actually really wore it. Um, my mum had always said that makeup makes you spotty and yeah, yeah. Um, so I showed up anyway. I applied my makeup. I had people watching my lives laughing at me because seriously, I went to work looking like that. And I see the pictures now pop up on Facebook memories, and I'm like, oh my God, why did no one tell me I looked hideous? But I was getting this kind of confidence and going to work, although it was such a chore and I hurt, and it was still an escape from what was going on at home. And I don't know, I just found that I was feeling a bit more confident. Then then the whole personal development started, and I started listening to Audible and books about how you can figure out your life and how you can, change your mindset and change your life. And I literally had nothing to lose here, nothing. So I went all in and I started learning about just personal development. That I had such a fixed mindset in up until that point. Like, why me? Why is everything happening to me? Do I deserve this? I must be terrible. Like the things that you tell yourself that you truly believe that you you've got what you asked for. But what I was learning is every time that I was saying these things, I was attracting more crap into my life. Literally, speak what you want and it will be given. And I was literally saying to the world, I've got no money, I hurt all the time, I've got no friend, like, and that was my life. Literally, it was like I was manifesting everything rubbish it to happen. And I always say, you talk shit, shit will come. Like you don't realize how much it makes an impact in your life, how your mental health, your mindset, you're either fixed mindset or your growth mindset. And I spent most of my life in a fixed mindset because I didn't know any other way. I was uneducated in terms of that. I just thought that was life. Life was meant to be hard and struggle, and it was meant to be doom and gloom. So in the summer of 2017, I fell in my garden and I landed on my side on the concrete path and I damaged the rest of my spine. So up here was already damaged from the chiropractor. Me falling on my side on that concrete path, I caused a massive shift in my spine. I had scoliosis in the middle and the bottom was pinching my spinal cord like my top. I had prolapse discs like you wouldn't believe. And I was signed off sick from work. And yeah, that was the shit that I'd asked for. Because I'd just been saying like all this bad stuff. Why does bad things happen to me? And literally, I got what I asked for. Um, so I was medically retired in February 2018. I was assessed, and basically, from the situation on my back, they said that they wouldn't operate because it's too invasive. I'm too young. There was a very slim chance that I would get better. I'd most probably stay the same, and there was also a chance that it would make me worse, and I could not risk that. I was trying to get my life back. So yeah, the weight started to go on with the medication, the lack of movement, and just life in general. I was so down for a long time, and 18 months it took me to gain 5 stone. 18 months. I remember once my dad come here and he was just like, "You've done really well gaining all this weight." Like, and it not messing with my head kind of thing. And obviously I wasn't doing very well with it at all. Having a past of an eating disorder and then being fight like going from relatively on the cusp of underweight healthy weight to then being morbidly obese. I was given a dietitian and I was then had loads of appointments in King's hospital to just get me to try and lose this weight, which I think I expressed before. Um, so in joining this brand, the reason for the brand is for a retreat. So the money that they get from the proceeds or the profit funds a retreat in Utah, USA, that helps survivors of childhood sexual abuse. And I didn't think I was worthy of anything like that, but my upline said apply for it, just talk to them and see what they say. And I did. I applied for it. I had a phone call. They came back to me and said, yes, you are very much worthy. Because I think you think that being raped in your teenagers years, that it's not childhood sexual abuse. You think, well, for me, I think of a child. But anything up to 18, not even 19, that they would obviously look to offer you a space at the retreat. And there was a waiting period, and I had to just get my flights there. And if I wanted to stay in a motel before and after I went in, that's all I had to cover. So I worked it out, and it was about £600. That's the amount of money that I had to get to fly there. Have a motel there the night before I go into the retreat and a motel the night before I flew home. Just because of the disabilities and stuff, it was just a lot that I knew by then I needed to kind of gauge how much I can do. And my upline and my sidelines in that brand actually raised the money together to pay for my flights and those motel stays, which I was so grateful for. It was just like the universe was actually listening to me, that I wanted, I needed like help. I didn't want to kind of stay where I was. And in the March 2019, I flew to Utah on my own. Now, this wouldn't have happened unless I had met a very real good friend of mine who is a coach, a mentor, and I'd started working with him in the December to try and get my anxiety at a level where I could get on a plane on my own. And I hate flying. Well, I used to hate flying. And we did timeline therapy. He helped the anxiety, and I managed to do the flight there. Going into, I'm very introverted. Like I don't. If anyone speaks to me, I'll speak to them back. But the whole approaching someone really makes me on edge, and I just automatically think no one wants to speak to me. No one. I think that's just stemmed from childhood and obviously school and what I went through at school. No one cares about me. That like, why would anyone want to listen to me? Why would anyone want to talk to me? So I don't like reaching out to people purely because of that reason. I don't want. I'm scared of someone telling me to go fudge myself, I suppose. I think that's it. Um, if I dive deeper, I know I will come up with the reason why. But at the moment, where I am, we're just going to stick to that. So I went to the retreat, and on the first day, the first kind of session was to explaining how your brain works. And no one had explained that to me before. I'd had numerous amounts of counselling sessions, and no one had actually explained. And I will go on to explain, but I won't divulge it now because yeah, I think it's better to do explain it all at the same time. So anyway, I had a therapist at the retreat, and I told them about the situation at home. They said 100% I needed to get my ex-husband out of my house. So I came back from that retreat and I said, you need to go. That you're not, this is not working. We're not together. You're not giving me any extra money. Debts are running up. This is not working. The arguments, And I probably made a mistake by saying to him that he was mentally and emotionally and verbally abusing me, because then he had ammunition to throw back in my face. The whole "you're crazy." I never said that, and I suppose the gaslighting. Well, it did get worse. Um, I He also said that because I had a foot operation coming up and I had a gallbladder operation coming up, that he couldn't leave because I wouldn't be well enough to look after my children. So there I am again, stuck, waiting for something to happen. And this is what I like, truly, when they say be careful what you wish for, this is the reason, because you do say what you say happens. I had wanted to work from home all my life, and I kept getting little indications of, oh, you could do that from home, like interior design, you could do that from home, payroll and accounts, you can do that from home. You can do so much from home. And I wasn't really listening. I did childminding. I could have carried on that. So what the universe has done is made it so impossible for me to actually go and work out in the public now because I'm medically retired. I can't. So that was my wish. When I was 19 years old, I wanted to work from home, and here I am at 59. No, not 59, 49. Whoa. Um, and have no other option than to work from home. Um, so basically, I went and had the gallbladder. Well, I was hospitalized a couple of times due to having jaundice because of the gallstones. Even when I was going to have the gallstone operation, I'd had jaundice like 2 days before I was allowed home from hospital. And so that operation got sidetracked. In the end, I had to go privately. I didn't have to go. The doctor made me go privately in the private hospital next to the normal hospital. And it went fine. And yeah, my ex-husband picked me up from the hospital. I laid down on the sofa, and this is where I tell you that the gaslighting and everything went up a notch. So I was laying on the sofa, just got back from having major surgery, like all these incisions, and they're telling you don't do anything strenuous, rest, don't lift anything, you shouldn't drive, blah, blah, blah. So I laid on the sofa, and then I thought to myself, oh my God, I've got students coming today, and the beds needed to be moved around. And that's all I did. I said, have you done the beds for the students? Bear in mind that the students were literally paying for him to be living in my house because he wasn't giving me anything more than what he believed he should be giving me, which was not as much maintenance as he should be giving me, and half the mortgage, which was determined on the divorce. And even though he was there eating and using more everything, the money never increased. So these students that I was still having was my only way of paying bills. I'm crying my eyes out because I'm in that much pain. If you've ever had your gallstones removed, like the pain of the trapped air from where they balloon you up, it tries to escape from your shoulders and it's so painful. So I'm crying my eyes out. And he turns around and said, if you want those beds moving, you move them yourself. So I did. I had to. I didn't have the energy in me to argue. It wouldn't have got me anywhere. Um, so I came, and it was actually the students were in this room, and I came and I was sorting out the beds, and he just stood round about here, just looking at me with his arms folded, watching me struggle, lifting the beds, moving them. I nearly fell. And then I went and laid back down. And the first thing he said was, I can't believe you moved those beds. You're so contrite. Now, I don't know what the word contrite meant. I had to Google it. And it, I was lost. Like, I couldn't win this battle. It was I just needed to get through the next couple of weeks. Um, and because I was under general anaesthetic for my gallbladder operation, when I went in to have my foot operation, I had to have it under local anaesthetic, which in itself was traumatic. And for 4 weeks, I couldn't really do anything again. So, in all due respect, he was probably right. He was needed there for the children. However, he could have made arrangements to move out as soon as I had recovered, but that didn't happen. Um, and then in the September 2019, Madison had failed her 11 plus previously because she wasn't privileged to the same tutor teaching that her brother got. So, yeah, she was doing a test paper. I asked him to mark it. I just stayed out the way. That was the best thing for everyone. Stay out of the way, no arguments. I'll just stay in the den, work on my unique business, and just kind of, just leave them to it. And I just called out saying, "How did she do?" And I was told she did shit, which I kind of, and those of you that have been in the situation will know that you just know that something else is going to happen. You just sense it. So I was like, coming here, let me help you. We'll just stay away from that area. And he came into the room, and before I would know it, his hands were around my neck. Obviously, my youngest in between us, screaming. Um, and the only way I could get him to stop was by hitting him. Um, and after that happened, and he stopped. Again, it was the gaslighting. I never did it, and it was only when my youngest went, "Yes, you did," that it all kind of he'd been found out because normally he did it I suppose behind closed doors when not many people were there and the children were young and stuff. But this he'd actually done something in front of them, and that's it. He left. I should have phoned the police. I wish I had phoned the police because looking back, I still didn't know. Still didn't know. So even though all this is going on and he's treated, I'm still thinking he's a psychopath. He's just, and I'd asked him to go for counselling in the past, and I didn't really know anything about personality disorders or anything like that. So yeah, that happened. Um, but he was gone. Just like, yay, just the three of us. And we've always called ourselves the Three Musketeers, myself and my younger two. And it was just really, really good. Like we were free again. Everything was nice. I could try and kind of rebuild everything, but that was done. Then COVID hit in 2020, and we had the best year of our lives. Me and the little ones, well, they weren't so little then. My son was studying for GCSEs. My youngest was obviously having her, but they were doing so well. They were thriving in school. Their reports were amazing. They were always on their lessons, and it was just so nice, so chill, so relaxed, no drama. Although he did try to keep coming into the house, but we had COVID on our side. So that was probably hands down out of everything that I've experienced, the best year of my life because it was chill, peaceful, sunny, and yeah, I was so grateful for that stolen moment, that stolen time with the younger two, that they were there every single day. And I will always be grateful for that time because as soon as they start school, you kind of just get sad, doesn't it? They're not around all the time anymore, and they've got all these different things going on. So selfishly, I was just so grateful that I got this stolen time with my youngest two, and it was peaceful and it was lovely and it was just great. And then in 2021, things just went wrong again. So as soon as we were allowed to mingle again. And bear in mind, I must say, it was such a good year in my online business that I'd got a promotion that I'd been working for absolutely ages. And it literally took me 10 months of that year to earn it because I just had no distractions. I was just so focused on helping people with whatever they needed help with. And it was that's why I say, hands down, out of all of my life, 2020 was the best year. Um, and then 2021 came and they went back to obviously seeing their father the allocated time. I took a step back because I thought, well, there's absolutely no reason. I don't need to communicate with this man anymore. They're old enough to make their own decisions, and I took a step back. And obviously, still, every time they came home, how was that? How was your weekend? And I'd keep getting her told by the youngest that they were always on their own, that their dad was always with the other one, that they just felt different. And then my son was like, well, yeah, you can tell that I'm treated differently to, and there was just, I think because they were older as well, they could see everything that was happening more so because they'd been with no kind of interference and no kind of influence of any negativity because we were very much dancing in the kitchen and having fun. So, at the end of the day, they're old enough. They were old enough to make their own decisions. And what came of it was that they decided that they did not want to see their father anymore. I applied for a non-molestation order, which got granted because I didn't want to. Whatever I was saying was being used against me and twisted, and I was advised. Well, I'll tell you what happened. I just happened to be live on Facebook, and someone messaged me afterwards and said, that's domestic abuse. I had to phone victim support up to ask if what I had experienced for all those years had been, in fact, domestic abuse. And that's where the penny dropped. And they advised me to get this non-molestation order, and that's what happened. And the children, I supported them. If they didn't want to go, I wasn't going to make them. They were like 14, 15, 15, 16. Like, however, the court came. He dragged myself and my youngest through court. And that was rubbish. That was hard. I couldn't afford a solicitor, obviously, so I represented myself. It was hard going, but I weren't I weren't fighting for anything other than their freedom, like their voice. I wanted them to be heard because I'd been silenced for so many years, not actually knowing what was going on. It was just such a kind of emotional, weird time. And I kind of, the more I kept learning and the more I was speaking to victim support and Oasis, and the more I was saying things to them, they were saying, well, now he's doing it to the children. And it was just such a kind of eye-opening year. Hard, hard, one of the hardest years because it's like so hard to kind of you want to support your children, you want to protect them, and you've got someone telling someone else, like their solicitor, that I'm controlling them. And like I've said to anyone at that time, they're like 15 and 16. I don't know anyone who can control a teenage child. Oh, they do what they want. That's the whole era of their life. They will make the decisions they want. They won't listen to you. They will lie to you. They will do stuff that they need to learn lessons from. And that's what hurt me the most because this man didn't ever have any feelings for me whatsoever. Everything that was done was to try to manipulate me to try and get something from me. The whole selling my house was a massive plan. Our marriage was over. He just wanted to buy a house with me. So then when he left, that he could divorce me and take part of the house and make me sell the house. Well, it didn't happen that way, did it? Because I divorced him and the stipulations were I leave everything to him. He just needs to pay half the mortgage and I get my house back. I could have taken him to the cleaners with the divorce, but I didn't because I'm not that sort of person. And that's the kind of thing when you're in court against someone and their solicitor is just making you out to be a complete monster. It's so hard for you to just true to you. If I didn't have the support of victim support, and I had legal advice and Oasis, I don't know. I don't know what I would have done. But I did suffer from that court case. I suffered another breakdown because it was so hard. My hair fell out. I wasn't doing anything wrong. I was just standing by my children and what they wanted. And let's face it, they should have just been left to make their own decisions at that age. There was no need for it. The repercussions of that, dragging my youngest through court, yeah. They were both, I put them both into counselling, both of the children in counselling because it's not okay what happened, and how they were treated at all. But I did all the right things. I did a young person and children's mental health course. I learned about self-harming. I learned about what goes through, and obviously experienced my own kind of trauma at their age, and that was my massive kind of thing. I didn't want them to have any trauma. I didn't want them to have a life like mine. Like the older children had already been through enough. And I gave myself such a hard time that, yeah, I made myself ill. And I remember one thing, they both came to me one day and said, Mum, you focus on you and we will be okay. And it was just, again, a very much a eye-opening, like the peanut butter and jam scenario on my living room. My children are the ones that brought me through. And fiercely, I fiercely still to this day would do the same thing. If they turn around and said they didn't want to do something, there is nothing in my power that I have to make a 15 and 16-year-old do something that they don't want to do. So yes, what happened next in this riveting story? There is like light at the end of the tunnel. Like I am here. The following year, I decided to start dating. I caught up with a friend. He said to me, "Why don't I start dating? I've been on my own a long time, and I had been on my own a long time. So I blame him for everything. I don't really. I basically was in such a good place in 2022. The court obviously got, the children didn't have to see him and he was only allowed to write to them and they didn't have to communicate with him. So, we were fine. So I started that year adamant that I was going to get back in shape, lose the last bit I had like a stone and a half to lose. And that was my focus was, we're getting our lives back. I was doing this 15-minute exercise every morning and I lost a stone on my own, just from intermittent fasting, what I've been taught by the dietitian, and just by doing this 15-minute exercise thing every single day, I was toning up and I was happy. And then along comes twat number three. That's the only thing I can just say. And do you know what? The signs were there. It was another lesson from the universe, I believe. Like, have you learned anything? Ellie, have you learned anything from your past experiences and everything that's got you to this minute? Have you? And I had until the non-molestation order expired and my ex-husband turned up at the door the next day. And then all that strength, everything that I'd achieved in that year, I was scared again. I didn't feel like I could go out. I couldn't. It was horrible. So I applied for another non-molestation order. I had to go back to court. Um, he had breached the non-molestation order so many times, but the police just useless. Um, and the judge, even at the hearing, he admitted that he had breached the non-molestation order, but not another one was put in place. And I was so just done. I was just so done. It's like he had a new relationship. It was going like, leave us alone, kind of. I don't understand what the obsession is. Just leave us alone. And the person that I was seeing at the time just went, just come here. So that's what I did. Straight after court, I went there and I hardly ever came back here. That was at the end of 2022. And yeah, it was very evident by the end of 2022, even before we'd moved in, that it was a bad decision. But the ball was already rolling. I didn't want to be here. The police had basically, because obviously I'd still been reporting everything to the police. The police basically told us that we needed to leave for our own, for the children's safety and for my own mental health. We had to leave, and I don't even know why. Don't even know why. Well, I do know why, because I just wanted I just wanted it to stop. It just had gone on for so long. And yeah, so we moved in. Um, this house was up for sale. It'd been up for sale for over a year. No interest. I'd lowered it several times, and yeah, it was just I just was lost again. It's like as soon as I get to the top of that hill, then I fall down again. I haven't managed to navigate staying on the hill. I just roll down it. And this relationship, yeah, heavily alcohol focused. Like not me. I'm not. I don't have an addictive bone in my body, and like I said, unless it's pancakes or popcorn, or food. Yeah, let's just say food. And yeah, like my youngest 16th birthday, she was phoning the police to have him arrested because he was assaulting me, and we should have left then. The police officer said, we were here previously. You need to leave. This man's dangerous. I'd even had someone from probation, because he was on probation, phone me and tell me not to be there because he was dangerous. Yeah. And in my head, I was like, I'm strong enough. I can deal with this. You know, it's only until the house sells. It's only to, and I think that's literally what I was just convinced. So yeah, I decorated his place because I wanted to have somewhere nice to live. So there was like two sides of me. I was just like, when there wasn't alcohol fueled assaults, because there was 36 of them, 36 assaults in 18 months. It was really nice. It was nice. Um, and I still, to this day, can't believe that I would tell my dad what had happened, the assaults. I would tell my friends, but no one could get me out of there. Like, that is the whole thing. When you are in this kind of situation, the only person that can get you out is you. You have to just go, do you know what? Enough's enough. And in my head, I'd had a plan that my house had sold. We were going to move into a new house and then it would be done. And that's what I kept telling everyone. Well, as soon as the house and this house, and that's the story I kept telling myself. And even afterwards, I was in counselling for 24 weeks after we managed to get free, um, saying the first thing I said, there was only 36 assaults. You know, broken bones, bruises, dog bites. Yeah, 36. Only 36. Like it should have been one. It should have been one, and I know that. So I would say now I've definitely 100% learnt my lesson, which is why I've kind of remained single for all of the time, um, because it's the whole, I mean more to me than a man. Like my children mean more to me than me. So if a man comes along, no one, like, we just have to take them for face value. But I've learnt now that as soon as, and the thing is though, the other people that I dated in between him and, starting dating, if there was red, I ran. So I put it down to my ex-husband again had made me in that so weak, feeling so pathetic that I had no control over everything. And it was just so bad that I didn't see any other option. However, there is light at the end of the tunnel because, even though my house is still up for sale and we're in this area that we shouldn't really be in, I am free. Like, I have my freedom. And that's quite scary because not only am I free and I've got my freedom, I have like an empty nest because I have four adult children now. I spend a majority of my time on my own. And that's why I would say that the new brand that I joined to collaborate with after I got away from that last person, that brand has changed my life. That brand has allowed me to focus more on me. It gave me the supplements, which has enabled me to get off a lot of medication. It's enabled me to go back to the gym because like spinal surgeon said that would never happen. Um, it's given me the best skincare that I've had because that used to generally get me down. Um, and from all the stress, I was aging very quickly and I didn't want to. So the I would say if I hadn't have made that massive decision to come away from the previous brand, jump all in with this brand, I actually achieved in the first month that I was with this brand, I achieved what I had achieved with the previous brand in 2020. I achieved it in 3 weeks with this brand. It gave me. It it's enabled me to show up as me, who I know I am. It's enabled me to do this. It's built my confidence back up. It's given me my self-esteem. It's handed me back my life. I know what's non-negotiable now. And for me, my non-negotiables are my children, my welfare, my health. I'm turning 50 next year. I literally have 6 months until I'm 50. And 18 months ago, well, about 15 months ago, I said to myself that by the time that I am 50, I want to be in the best shape, the best health, best weight, best everything by 50. That was the goal. And with this brand that I'm with now, it has given me everything that I needed. One of them was like I wanted skincare to turn, like I had three fundamentals that I set in place, and this brand fell in my lap and has given me the tools to give me all of my goals, like to get me where I want to be. And it's not been easy. Obviously, it's not been easy because there's things that happen along the way. I've got four adult children, and sometimes having four adult children is harder than having four children teething at the same time, because they've got their own kind of they're learning their own lessons, and Mama Bear's going to be here for them. And it's hard. It has been hard, but in terms of my freedom, I've definitely got there, and I'm happy. Um, so looking back, I'm not going to tell you that yeah, it's all worth it. I'm so glad that from the age of 7, I've had this amazing life. Um, I will tell you that I believe there is reasons why I've experienced the things I've experienced. I believe that that is because I'm meant to show up and share to the world. I'm meant to come away and do coaching work and be a mentor, and because I have an insight to what a lot of mentors and life coaches don't have. I have a different perspective. I have a lot of potential to help a lot of people. And I wouldn't be doing this podcast if I didn't think that I was given all of my lessons for a reason. And that's why I call my brand IFAR Beauty, IFAR Mindset, because everything does happen for a reason. Um, it's only when you look back do you see all the dots connected. And I really wouldn't wish my life on anyone else. But I'm here to tell the story, and I'm here to help other people through it. I will make good of the mess that I have left behind, because if I can't do that, then it doesn't give many people the inspiration that they can do it too. So that is basically me making a massive shift in my life, that I'm saying I'm done now with all the lessons. I'm here now to turn back and start helping you. I'm going to take my mess and turn it into a message. I'm going to give you the tools. I'm going to give you everything that I have come across and used that have got me to this point. And that's what's going to happen from this day on. On my podcast, I will be bringing in guests that I believe will be able to help. And I hope that all of the drama and everything is done. And as far as I'm concerned, it is. I'm focused now on, as I say, my children and myself, and just getting to 50. And trying to decide whether or not I want to wake up in Paris on my 50th. That's what I'm that's all that's going through my mind at the moment, having so many different kind of things, but I definitely want to show up 100% for my children with no distractions. And that's what I truly believe that freedom is, when you have no distractions, that you can just be in peace. And if your children need you, you can literally be there for them. So that is where I am. And it makes me quite emotional because, I had children essentially to keep me alive, and didn't really realize how much that they have actually given me back. And all the lessons that they've taught me along the way, that because the noise from other people gets so much louder, you can't actually see some of the things that you should be grateful and thankful for. And looking back, I have had some amazing times with my children, and I'm grateful that I had that. I've had that. Like my life, although it has been a lot of challenges, my children bring me joy. So, what I'm still learning, obviously, how to navigate selling a house, because obviously I don't know how to do that. Um, I don't feel held back anymore. I feel like times are changing, and I feel like everyone realizes that times are changing. Things are not easy as well, they've never seemed easy, but things are seeming more difficult. Like maybe not that you need them to be difficult, but they're just being more difficult. So, let's wrap up, shall we? Let's wrap up this my story, and move on to something better next week. So my 40s so far have been less about having it all figured out and more about letting go of the pressure to have it figured out. If freedom is if freedom is anything, it's knowing I get to write my own story on my terms. Have I learned everything? No, obviously not. But I learnt enough to know that every season, every mistake, every win, every heartbreak has been part of my path to freedom. So if you're in your 40s or heading there, I want you to know this. You're allowed to change, you're allowed to choose yourself, and you're allowed to define freedom however it feels right for you. Thank you for spending this time with me and getting to know me. In the next episode, we'll dive into what this path looks like going forward and how freedom continues to evolve with every step. So until then, I actually want to just say one thing. I have been inundated with messages from you guys watching, thanking me. And that means a lot because obviously when I started this podcast, I didn't realize, I didn't even know if anyone would watch it, to be honest. And I am very, very grateful. But I also know that if you are watching this, it's probably because you relate to something that I've spoken about. And that makes me sad because if I could just take everyone's pain and have it myself and just know that no one else had experienced anything that I'd experienced, I would 100% take it away. But I know that everyone needs to learn their own lessons for whatever purpose you have in your life. So you are enough, you are worth your freedom too, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks for watching. See you soon.